Your bank account is lying to you truly and systematically every single time you log in to check your balance. You log in, you see that $10,000 balance sitting there in black and white, and you feel a sense of peace, a deep, comforting sense of peace. You tell yourself it's safe, perfectly safe. But while that number stays perfectly still, its actual power is being hunted, aggressively and relentlessly hunted by forces you cannot see. Every second, every single ticking second, you leave your wealth sitting in a standard, stagnant savings account. A silent, invisible tax is eating the very walls of your house, the fuel in your car, and the retirement, the golden, hard-earned retirement you haven't even had the chance to enjoy yet. By the time you finish this video, the money in your pocket will be worth less, significantly and measurably less than it was when we started. The real question isn't, should you move your money? The real urgent question is, why are you standing by and watching it die, slowly and quietly watching it die in an account that doesn't care about your future? We often think of financial loss as a sudden crash, a violent and terrifying crash. A jagged red line screaming down a computer monitor, or the deafening silence, the absolute, soul-crushing, deafening silence of a deleted digital life. But real wealth destruction, the kind that ruins families over decades, is much quieter, much more insidious. It's the slow bleed. It's the faint, metallic scent of a car dealership where the affordable family sedan now costs what a luxury SUV did only 5 years ago. It's the weight of a grocery bag that feels lighter, noticeably and frustratingly lighter every single week, even though the paper receipt at the bottom is longer, much longer, and more expensive than it has ever been in history. Inflation isn't just a dry graph in a textbook, a boring academic textbook found in a dusty classroom. It's a predator, a relentless and hungry predator that breathes directly down the neck of your savings every hour of every day. If your money isn't growing faster, much faster, and more aggressively than the rising cost of milk, the rising cost of medicine, and the skyrocketing cost of rent, you aren't saving for your future. You're just losing slowly, losing very slowly, while convincing yourself you are being responsible. Here is the investigative twist, the real dark investigative twist that they don't teach you in school. The entire financial system is designed, intentionally and brilliantly designed, to keep you stationary and afraid. Banks absolutely love your safety, or rather, your perceived safety. They take your $10,000, they pay you a tiny fraction of a percent in interest, a digital crumb, a microscopic digital crumb that wouldn't even buy you a cup of coffee at the end of the year. And then they turn around and lend that exact same money, your hard-earned money, to someone else at 7%, 10%, or even 20%. They are using your capital, your sweat, and your labor to outpace the very inflation that is killing you, actively and effectively killing your purchasing power while you sleep. Why do we let them get away with it? Why do we really truly let them keep us in this trap? It's because of a psychological phenomenon called loss aversion. Humans are biologically wired, deeply and evolutionarily biologically wired, to fear a $1,000 drop in the stock market far more than we value a $2,000 gain. We are so terrified, paralyzed, and absolutely terrified of the sharks in the investment water that we choose to stay on a ship that is clearly, undeniably, and rapidly sinking into the ocean. We feel that as long as we don't jump, we haven't lost, but the water is already at our knees. Look at the hard data from the last 40 years, the last 4 long decades of economic history. The safest place to be, holding raw cash, has lost the vast majority. The overwhelming and staggering vast majority of its actual purchasing power since 1980. If you hit $1 in 1980, it's a ghost of itself today. Meanwhile, the S&P 500, despite every world war, every economic bubble, every political scandal, and every unprecedented global crisis, has historically turned every single dollar into dozens more, many dozens more, over the long haul. The math doesn't lie, but our fear does. The real victims of the financial world aren't the people who lost a little bit of money during a temporary market dip. The real victims are the people who worked 40 years, 40 long, exhausting years, tucked every single penny they had under a digital mattress because they were afraid, and woke up on their 65th birthday to find they can only afford half, barely half, of the life they actually earned and deserved. They played it safe, and that safety was the most dangerous choice they ever made. When we talk about moving your money, it often sounds like a complex heist. A high-stakes, confusing, complex heist that requires a degree in finance. It's not. It is simpler than the banks want you to believe. Think of your wealth as a garden, a living, breathing, growing garden. A savings account is a concrete pot, a cold, hard, gray concrete pot. It's safe from weeds, sure, but the roots have nowhere to go, absolutely nowhere to expand. The plant will eventually starve, slowly and miserably starve, because it has no room to thrive. Investing, whether you are looking at index funds, real estate, or bonds, is like finally moving that gasping plant into the earth, the rich, dark, open earth. Yes, there are storms, sometimes violent and scary storms. Yes, there are bugs and pests. But the earth has the nutrients, the vital, life-giving nutrients the plant needs to actually reach the sun, finally and gloriously reach the sun. Compound interest isn't just a boring math formula, a dry and dusty math formula from a chalkboard. It's a snowball sitting at the very top of a massive mountain. At first, when you start, it's just a tiny handful of white dust, simple and unimpressive white dust. You push it, and for a long time, nothing seems to happen, absolutely nothing at all. You feel like you're wasting your time. But as it rolls, it starts to grab more, constantly and exponentially grabbing more snow. It begins to grow its own gravity, its own massive and powerful gravity. By the time it hits the bottom of the mountain, it's an unstoppable force, a truly massive and unstoppable force that nothing can stand in the way of. But you have to be the one, the only one, to give it that first push, that critical, difficult first push when it looks like nothing is happening. In 10 years, you will be a different person, a completely and fundamentally different person. You'll have more gray hair, you'll have more memories, and you will perhaps have less energy, much less energy than you have today. You are currently working 40, 50, or 60 hours a week, sacrificing your time and your health to provide for that future you, that older version of you who just wants to rest. Don't let that person down. Please, I am begging you. Don't let that version of yourself down. The greatest risk you face today isn't a market fluctuation, a temporary and normal market fluctuation. It's the risk of doing nothing, the absolute and total risk of doing nothing at all. It's the risk of standing still, perfectly and stubbornly still, while the rest of the world moves forward, rapidly and hungrily moves forward. Every single day you wait, every day you hesitate, is a day of growth, precious and irreplaceable growth that you can never buy back. Never ever buy back, no matter how hard you work later. Time is the one currency you can't exchange, you can't earn more of, and you can't steal, but it is the only thing, the absolute only thing, that makes your money truly and effectively powerful. So, take a moment today to look at your accounts. Really, honestly look at your accounts. Look at that safe number sitting there in your savings and ask yourself the hard question. Is it actually growing and building a life for me? Or is it just sitting there waiting to disappear, just waiting to slowly and quietly disappear into the pockets of the banks and the jaws of inflation? Your future self is waiting for you to make a move. Don't keep them waiting until it's too late. If you found this helpful and it gave you a new perspective on your wealth, please like and subscribe.